I had just set my phone down, but my heart was still pounding in my chest. Something felt off. The message I had just received sent a chill down my spine despite the air conditioning humming in the background. It was only one short line. This Sunday 5 p.m. at Mom and Dad's house, important, don't tell Nathan. No greeting, no explanation, just a cold command. The message was from Amanda, my husband Nathan's sister. We were never close, in fact we barely tolerated each other. Amanda had always seen me as an outsider, the woman who had stolen her brother from their family. I stared at the text on my screen, my mind racing through countless possibilities. A family meeting? Important enough that I wasn't allowed to tell Nathan? But if it was good news, why keep it a secret? And if it was bad news, why were they calling me instead of Nathan? I picked up my phone, ready to reply and ask for more details, but I stopped myself. My instincts told me that if I asked, Amanda wouldn't give me a straight answer. She would just say, "Just come and see for yourself." And I hated that kind of ambiguity. Instead, I picked up my phone again, this time to call the one person I trusted completely. My best friend, Lauren. "Hey, what's up?" Lauren's voice came through the line, warm as always. I told her about Amanda's message, trying to keep my tone calm, but I couldn't hide the unease in my voice. "That sounds really suspicious," Lauren said immediately. "Why would they keep it from Nathan? Don't you think that's weird?" "Really weird," I sighed. "I don't know if I should go, but if I don't, I'll never know what they're up to." "You already know what I'm going to say, don't you?" Lauren asked, her tone cautious. I let out a dry chuckle. "That it's a trap." "Exactly, but if you still decide to go, at least be prepared." I knew Lauren was right. Amanda and Nathan's family had never truly accepted me, no matter how hard I tried over the years. They always found ways to make me feel like an intruder, someone who didn't belong in their world. But Nathan never saw it that way. He always believed that his family loved me, that Amanda's passive-aggressive remarks were just harmless teasing. I had no choice but to go to this mysterious meeting. If I ignored it, who knew what they might do behind my back? On Sunday afternoon, I drove to Nathan's parents' house, the tension rising with every mile. I hadn't told Nathan about the meeting, just as Amanda had instructed. A part of me wanted to believe it was something minor, but my instincts were screaming that something was very wrong. The house was located on a quiet street in the suburbs of Boston, a grand old mansion, elegant on the outside but always feeling cold whenever I stepped inside. I walked up the steps, took a deep breath, and rang the doorbell. The door opened immediately, as if they had been waiting for me. Inside, everyone was already there. Nathan's parents, Andrew and Margaret, sat at the head of the table, their expressions stern. Amanda stood with her arms crossed beside them, her eyes gleaming with triumph. Next to her was David, Nathan's older brother, along with his wife Stephanie. Even Uncle Robert and Aunt Helen, who lived all the way in New York, were present. A full family gathering. I suddenly felt short of breath. "Sit down, Emily," Margaret said, her voice calm but authoritative. I didn't sit. I stood in the doorway, crossing my arms. "What's going on?" Andrew, my father-in-law, silently opened a leather briefcase on the table, pulled out a stack of papers and slid it toward me. "This is for the best, for all of us." I took a step closer and glanced at the top page. The moment I read the first line, I felt my heart drop. "Divorce papers?" A short, dry laugh escaped my lips. "You've got to be kidding me." "Not at all," Amanda's voice rang out, laced with satisfaction. "We've thought this through. You don't belong in this family. You contribute nothing and only hold Nathan back. This is the best way to settle things quietly." I looked around the room, taking in each face, all filled with certainty. They actually believed they could force me to sign this. They actually thought they had the right to decide my marriage for me. I took a deep breath, keeping my voice calm but firm. "Does Nathan know about this?" Andrew furrowed his brows slightly. "We decided it was best not to trouble him. He doesn't need to worry about this." A surge of anger rose in my chest. They didn't just want to push me out of the family. They deliberately hid this from Nathan, treating him like a child incapable of making decisions for his own life. I crossed my arms and slowly smiled. They thought I had no choice. They thought I would be too afraid to fight back. But they had forgotten the most important thing. I had my own cards to play. I stared at them one by one. They truly believed I would be so shocked that I would just tremble and sign these papers without resistance. They actually thought they could control me like a puppet. What they didn't realize was that I had seen this coming. I exhaled slowly, then suddenly smiled, not a nervous or hesitant smile, but the smile of someone who held the winning hand. "How interesting," I said, my voice eerily calm. "You've really thought this through, haven't you?" Amanda crossed her arms, tilting her chin up defiantly. "That's right. And if you're smart, you'll sign now and end this peacefully." I let out a genuine laugh this time. "Oh, Amanda, do you really think I came here unprepared?" The room fell into sudden silence. Slowly, I reached into my bag, pulled out a thick folder and slammed it onto the table. The weight of the papers hit the wooden surface with a loud thud, making everyone flinch. Margaret, Nathan's mother, narrowed her eyes. "What is that?" I lifted the folder's cover and flipped to the first page, my voice steady and sharp like a blade. "This is all the evidence of how your beloved family has been embezzling money from Nathan for years." Andrew's eyes widened in shock. "What the hell are you talking about?" I tilted my head, slowly flipping through the pages of the folder. "The bank records show that you've been using Nathan's joint account to funnel money into your failed investments. Here are the detailed statements, showing hundreds of thousands of dollars withdrawn without his consent." I glanced around the room, savoring the look of horror on each of their faces. "And this," I pulled out another document and placed it in front of them. "The mortgage contract for our house, mine and Nathan's. You used it as collateral for a business loan, and guess what? That loan defaulted." Margaret raised a trembling hand to cover her mouth, her face turning pale. Andrew clenched his fists, his voice low and tight. "Where did you get these documents?" I smirked. "I'm not stupid, Andrew. I know you've always looked down on me, but I'm no fool. I've been tracking this for months. I hired a forensic accountant to review every single transaction tied to Nathan, and guess what? Every single trail leads back to you." Amanda's hands balled into fists, but before she could say a word, a voice rang out from the doorway. "What the hell is going on here?" I turned my head. Nathan stood there, confusion and disbelief written all over his face. His eyes darted around the room, landing on the pile of documents on the table before shifting to his parents and sister. "Emily," he said, suspicion laced in his voice. "What is this?" I took a deep breath. This was the moment I had been waiting for. I pushed the folder toward him. "Nathan, you should sit down." He looked at me, then at his family, before slowly stepping forward and picking up the folder. The room fell into silence as Nathan flipped through the pages. I watched the emotions shift on his face. Confusion, then shock, and finally, devastation. His voice came out hoarse. "Dad, is this true?" Andrew avoided Nathan's gaze. Margaret swallowed hard, desperately trying to keep her composure. "Nathan, sweetheart, everything we did was for you. We were just trying to help you." "Help me?" Nathan cut in, his voice shaking with anger. "By embezzling my money? By using my house as collateral without telling me a damn thing?" Amanda quickly jumped in. "Nathan, don't let her turn you against your family." But Nathan just shook his head, glaring at his sister. "Her? Amanda, what the hell did you do?" Slowly I reached into my bag and pulled out another stack of papers. "If you still have doubts, here are Amanda's messages to her friend. Bragging about how easy it was to trick you into signing financial documents without reading them. She thought you were stupid, Nathan. She laughed at you." Nathan snatched the papers from my hand, scanning through them. His hands started to tremble as the truth sank in. I turned to Amanda, locking eyes with her. "Anything you'd like to say?" Amanda's face turned pale, her lips parted slightly, but no words came out. Nathan looked at his parents, then back at his sister. The rage in his expression faded, replaced by something even worse, utter disappointment. "You betrayed me," he said, his voice hoarse with pain. Margaret frantically reached for her son's hand. "Nathan, we're family. He jerked his hand away. "Family. Family doesn't do this to each other." I crossed my arms, scanning the room, savoring the moment as everything crumbled around them. "Nathan," I said, keeping my voice steady, "what do we do next?" He was silent for a moment, then looked at me. And in that moment, I knew he had made his choice. I reached for the pen and slid it toward him. "First," I said, smiling slightly, "you sign my papers." Nathan picked up the pen, his fingers tightening around it so hard they turned white. The room was filled with heavy silence. I watched, waiting for the final moment. The moment he would break free from the chains his family had wrapped around him. Andrew suddenly slammed his hand on the table, his voice trembling with fury. "Nathan, you can't do this. She's manipulating you. This is just a stunt to tear our family apart." Amanda shot up from her chair, her eyes blazing with fury. "You actually believe this? This is Emily. She's nobody. She's just a gold digger trying to take everything from you." Nathan stared down at the documents in front of him, his breathing quick and uneven. But instead of defending his family like he always had, instead of dismissing me, he slowly turned each page, scanning the evidence I had gathered over the past few months. "It's all true." My voice wasn't loud, but it was sharp as a blade. "You know it, Nathan. If it weren't, they wouldn't be this scared." Andrew stepped forward, his face flushed red with anger, his fury barely contained. "Boy, you will not make this mistake. We are your family, she is not." I crossed my arms, meeting his glare with unwavering defiance. "You only care about family when it benefits you, don't you, Andrew? When you can siphon money from Nathan without him knowing? When you can push me out of this marriage so you can keep exploiting your son?" He opened his mouth to say something but then closed it, his silence speaking volumes. I smirked. "You know I'm right." Margaret, my mother-in-law, suddenly burst into tears. She grabbed Nathan's arm, her voice trembling with fear. "Nathan, sweetheart, you can't do this. Everything we did was for you. We only wanted what was best. Don't let her tear this family apart." But Nathan yanked his arm away, his eyes filled with hurt and disappointment. "You stole from me. You lied to me. You betrayed me." Margaret shook her head, tears spilling down her face, but no words could undo the truth. Slowly Nathan turned his gaze to Amanda, the only one still trying to maintain her composure, or rather her arrogance. "Amanda," his voice was low and steady, "you lied to me. You tricked me into signing financial documents I didn't even read." Amanda let out a cold laugh, crossing her arms. "You're so stupid for believing anything Emily says." "Oh? So you deny it?" I interjected, raising an eyebrow. "Are you saying these messages aren't yours? That you never pulled money from Nathan's accounts?" For the first time that night, Amanda's confidence wavered. Her gaze darted toward her parents, but they had nothing left to say. Nathan exhaled sharply, his expression unreadable. "You know what, Nathan?" Amanda suddenly scoffed, her voice dripping with disdain. "I never liked her. I only tolerated her because of you." Nathan was silent, the entire room fell still. Amanda shrugged, trying to appear indifferent, but the unease in her voice was obvious. "You think you can survive without your family? She'll leave you the moment you have nothing left." Nathan stared at her for a long moment, then turned to me. The hesitation in his eyes was gone. I slid the pen toward him. "Then let's find out." He took the pen. 1 second, 2 seconds. Sign. The tip of the pen met the paper. Nathan had signed the divorce papers. A shockwave rippled through the room. Margaret collapsed into her chair, her hands covering her mouth in disbelief. Andrew looked at his son as if he had been betrayed. Amanda's face went pale, her fists clenched tightly. I slowly gathered the documents, then looked each of them in the eye. "I guess this family meeting is over." Nathan stood up, his gaze still locked on his parents. "You betrayed me." His voice no longer carried anger, just a cold, hollow disappointment. "I will never forgive you." I took one last look at them before turning toward the door. Nathan followed closely behind. "Emily!" Margaret screamed. "You ruined this family!" I turned back unfazed. "No, you did that yourselves." And then I opened the door and walked out, leaving them in chaos. I stepped out of that house without looking back, feeling the weight of their world collapse behind me like a sandcastle being swallowed by the tide. But I knew just walking away wasn't enough. They had tried to destroy me, tried to push me out of Nathan's life like I was nothing more than an inconvenience. Now I would show them what true destruction looked like. The very next morning, I sat in my lawyer's office, placing each carefully compiled document onto the desk. The evidence I had gathered over the past months was meticulously organized. Bank records, suspicious transactions, the mortgage papers for the house Nathan and I had owned. Everything had been thoroughly reviewed by a forensic accountant, and now it was in the hands of the right people. "The IRS is going to love these," my lawyer said, flipping through the pages with a satisfied smirk. And I can guarantee they won't go easy on Andrew's family. 2 weeks later, everything started to fall apart. The IRS launched an investigation into Andrew and his company. The embezzled funds, suspicious financial transactions, fraudulent loans, everything was exposed. Investors immediately pulled out, throwing Andrew's company into crisis. No one wanted to be associated with a business under IRS scrutiny. A few months later, Andrew's company declared bankruptcy. The unpaid debts piled up like a mountain, and the properties he had used as collateral were seized by the bank. I heard from an acquaintance that their grand mansion had been foreclosed, and Margaret had a complete breakdown when she was forced to leave the house she once considered the symbol of their family's status. But that wasn't all. Amanda had always seen herself as the mastermind in this game of power, but in reality, she was nothing more than a pathetic pawn. I had gathered enough evidence of her financial misconduct, her misuse of company funds for personal expenses, the way she tricked Nathan into signing financial documents without his knowledge. And now, all of it was handed straight to the authorities. Less than 3 months after Andrew's company collapsed, Amanda was summoned for an investigation into financial fraud. She tried to deny it, to shift the blame onto others, but the evidence was undeniable. Once news of the family's scandal spread, Amanda was immediately fired from her job. No one wanted to be associated with a financial criminal. The elite social circles she once bragged about being part of turned their backs on her, treating her with nothing but contempt. And the best part? The boyfriend she had secretly been funneling money to, he disappeared the moment she got into trouble. Amanda had lost everything. During all this, Nathan cut all ties with his family. As everything crumbled around them, he finally saw the truth. Our divorce was quick and straightforward. I didn't fight for more than I deserved, but I also didn't let them take anything that belonged to me. The house they had tried to gamble away, I kept it. Our shared finances, I took my rightful share, and Nathan didn't contest it. At last, we signed the final papers, officially ending our marriage. Nathan didn't say much that day, but before he left, he turned to me and said, "Thank you, Emily, for showing me the truth." I nodded, saying nothing more. I didn't hate Nathan. He wasn't a bad person, just blind. And now at least he was finally free from them. But I didn't stop there. I made sure that everyone in the elite circles knew exactly what Andrew's family had done. The business partners they once worked with, the friends they flaunted their status to. Everyone found out that they weren't a powerful, respectable family, but frauds who had built their lives on stolen money. The whispers spread faster than any storm. No one wanted to be associated with them anymore. No more invitations to high-profile events, no more lucrative connections. Everything they once prided themselves on, their reputation, their status, their wealth, vanished into thin air. Margaret, who had always been obsessed with maintaining the family's image, was perhaps the one who suffered the most, watching everything she had built crumble under society's disdain. Amanda, once arrogant and self-assured, was now nothing more than a disgraced failure that no one cared about. Andrew, once a powerful businessman, was now a bankrupt man under IRS investigation. They had risked everything to push me out of Nathan's life, but in the end, it was they who were cast into ruin. I walked away, starting a new life. No more forced dinners with people who despised me, no more passive-aggressive remarks, no more feeling like I was being controlled. I was free, and I had no need to look back. And I had no regrets. Because sometimes, revenge isn't about getting even. It's about letting them destroy themselves. There are moments in life when we are pushed into unfair situations, when others try to manipulate, exploit, and control us for their own benefit, but what truly matters isn't how we are treated, it's how we respond. Emily chose not to stay silent, not to be a victim. She didn't just stand up for herself, she tore down those who tried to ruin her. This story is a reminder that sometimes the best revenge is letting the guilty collapse under the weight of their own mistakes. What do you think about Emily's story? If you were in her situation, what would you have done? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to follow the channel for more captivating stories about family, life, and the lessons we learn along the way.